Can Russia be trusted? The history of the conflict over the island of Tuzla. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine sought to maintain friendly relations with its eastern neighbor. The two countries signed dozens of partnership documents and pacts. For example, the agreement of the status of the Russian Black Sea Fleet stationed on the territory of Ukrainian Crimea, or the Budapest Memorandum. Moreover, according to that memorandum, Russian Federation was supposed to act as one of the guarantors of Ukraine's security, in exchange for Ukraine's renunciation of nuclear weapons. By signing this document, Russia had pledged that, we quote, "None of its weapons will ever be used against Ukraine." Russia's initial attempts to seize a part of Ukraine occurred in 2003, less than 10 years after the signing of the Budapest Memorandum. On 29 September 2003, Russia started building a dam in the Black Sea from the territory of the Krasnodar region towards the Ukrainian island of Tuzla. Did Ukraine give Russia permission to build a dam on its island in 2003? The answer is no. Despite the lack of a permit, dozens of trucks appear on the shore of the Taman Peninsula, with workers working in 3 shifts. The distance between Russia and Ukraine, originally 3,852 meters, was shrinking by 160 meters per day. Publicly, the Russians justified the unauthorized construction with a sudden environmental need, an attempt to preserve the Taman Peninsula coastline. But one could also hear versions more akin to the classic imperial rhetoric of the Russian ruling elite. Dmitry Rogozin, "Tuzla is ours and Sevastopol is ours. We will all die, but we will not give up Tuzla," added Konstantin Zatulin, an advisor to the mayor of Moscow. But does the island of Tuzla have any matter? Was Russia really prepared to go to war over 3 square kilometers of land? The navigable part of the Kerch Strait is situated between Tuzla and the Kerch Peninsula. Consequently, the Kerch Strait was under the control of Ukraine. As of 2003, this route was utilized by up to 9,000 cargo ships, with 60 to 65% either being Russian or destined for Russian ports. So Russian shipping companies were required to pay the port of Kerch for the passage of ships through this channel. Furthermore, Ukraine's control over the strait did not exclude the possibility of third-country warships entering the Sea of Azov. However, considering the lessons of current events, we can also draw the following conclusions about the real reasons for Russia's actions in 2003. 1. Putin and his entourage had already learned from the Second Chechen War that aggressive policies and successful military operations boost the ratings of the young president. By annexing Tuzla, he would score electoral points with an electorate hungry for victories and displays of strength. 2. By moving its land border closer to the then Ukrainian-controlled Crimea, Russia already in 2003 would have gained an ideal foothold for the next stage of its war of aggression. Looking ahead, the pylons of the Kerch Bridge, built by Russia after the annexation of the Ukrainian peninsula and opened in May 2018, now stand right on the island of Tuzla. In 2003, Ukraine's response was decisive and appropriate to the situation. Border guards and special forces were sent to the island. Firing positions were established to defend against potential threats. Warships have been dispatched to reinforce the defenses. At the same time, military exercises, including air maneuvers, commenced on the mainland. And most importantly, there was an order from the then president of Ukraine, Leonid Kuchma, to use lethal force if the Ukrainian state border was crossed. 2 border pontoons stood in the way of the dam builders. The situation became increasingly heated. The only solution seemed to be an open confrontation, as continuing the construction required moving the Ukrainian barrier. However, doing so would mean Russia violating Ukraine's state border, leading to the risk of armed conflict or full-scale war. It was from these positions that Leonid Kuchma and Vladimir Putin held a telephone conversation. The content of this conversation is not known for sure, but it was followed by further diplomatic negotiations. As a result, another friendly agreement was signed between Ukraine and the Russian Federation on cooperation in using the Sea of Azov and the Kerch Strait. There are several lessons to be learned from this situation. Ukraine was able to defend its territorial integrity by showing Russia what it understands best: strength, The Ukrainian experience teaches us that in dealing with Russia, we must remember that even after signing international agreements, Russia will easily ignore them, pursuing its own interests. The events of 2003 and 2014 fully prove this. 10 years after crisis around Tuzla, instead of bulldozers and truck drivers, we'll see the armed little green men coming to Crimea and seizing the Ukrainian peninsula via methods of hybrid warfare. Again, as in 2003, despite bilateral agreements, recognized borders and friendly relations. This pattern of behavior should be the main lesson for the whole world. Russia's imperial interests have always taken precedence over partnership agreements, and the fact that currently the war is taking place on the territory of Ukraine does not mean that they will stop at seizing only the Ukrainian territory. Remember what Vladimir Putin said.
Где заканчивается граница России? Граница России нигде не заканчивается.